afternoon. Thank you for coming. And I'm Laura Larch, president of RCA board. We are glad to have you all here today. It's a rather dreary day, but we're going to have a fun topic. So we'll brighten everything up for us. This is Brosch. She is a member of the RCA board as well. And I asked her, what should I say about you? And she said she would take care of it. I'm just going to point out that she is a licensed mental health counselor and a national board certified counselor. And I dealt with her as a parent of students. And I can tell you she's a wonderful person. So thank you. There we go.
Thank you. Welcome. Yes, I'm a licensed mental health counselor, certified mindfulness-based ecotherapist, certified in EMDR, which is a trauma modality for counseling, and I work at SUNY Oswego. But welcome to Connect to Nature, Connect to Yourself. As a member of SUNY Oswego community, I also identify Cherokee, so I think it's important to acknowledge the state of New York. Oh, that's going to cut off that. SUNY Oswego wants to recognize with respect the Onondaga Nation, people of the hills, central firekeepers of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, indigenous peoples whose ancestral lands SUNY Oswego stands. Also, with the topic, I also want to acknowledge, recognize, and respect all the living beings that are native to this community of Rice Creek. All the native trees, native birds, native insects, fungi, mammals, everything. Every living being that's part of what we call Rice Creek now. I just want to acknowledge and respect that and connect to that. A little bit about me. I'm a hockey mom, so I enjoy the winter. You can find me outside in every season. But I have lots of identities. First, what I'm here today as, I'm a mental health counselor. I work at SUNY Oswego. I used to work in private practice. I've worked in lots of modalities. I really, really like being a college mental health counselor. Seeing students at that developmental process stage in their life is just really what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's really special. And I really, really like working here at SUNY Oswego. I get to not just see clients all day. I have the freedom and the creativity to connect to Rice Creek, bring students here, not just to study biology. I get to connect them to the wonderful thing that is this complex. I used to be a teacher. So before I was a mental health counselor, I was an elementary teacher for about probably like 4 years. Definitely, I connected to the students emotionally. I like teaching them, but what I'm supposed to be doing is counseling. So it was one little curve in my path, but I do teach. It doesn't stop in my counseling office either. It just makes me a better counselor. I'm a mother of 2 boys, mother of also stepdaughter and a stepson. My connection to nature comes into that relationship too. I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm an alum of the SUNY Oswego, I'm a Central New Yorker, and I'm a nonstop learner. That's all part of me, and my connection to nature comes through in each of these identities. I'm also a counselor, I'm not a lecturer. So you don't get to be passive today. Don't worry, I'm not gonna ever make anyone share. This isn't a confidential space of my office. I'm always gonna invite you to share. I have the paper, markers, color pencils, gel pens. I invite you today to take a piece of paper, write down things. I'm going to have prompts throughout the day to just think and reflect for yourself. And there's always going to be a space to share too. But the second half of this title is connect to yourself. So I really want you reflecting, thinking about my questions, thinking about the things I'm talking about, and have the space to write or draw what you're thinking and feeling. And then there'll be times to share it too. So what is nature? What does that mean? What does that mean to you? How do we define nature? Since you think about it a little bit, write it down a little bit if anything comes to mind. Again, none of these are have-tos, but spend some time to think about it. What is nature? What does that mean? What comes to mind for anyone now that would like to just, yeah.
Much of it is what has not been screwed up by humans.
Yep, the outdoor world, natural world, not man-made world. What are other thoughts about that?
I think of it as evolving creation,
Okay.
continuing.
Progression. Anything else?
Everything.
Everything. Yep. I like to think that it is, I'm probably jumping ahead, but humans are part of nature. We're not separate from nature. And I think as I could have a whole other presentation about the succession of nature and humans' relationship with nature and the living world. That's a whole other topic for a whole other probably audience. But things have happened that have separated it more and more, and connecting to it is really, really important to get back to. What does nature bring up for you? So when I say nature, when you thought about what is nature, what's going on inside when you think about that? What emotions, what thoughts, what images? Spend some time to just think about that. Write about it if you want. But what does nature bring up for you? We're not going to escape feelings today, so I'm going to go there. Because what I've learned is it's definitely different for everybody. Would anyone like to share what nature does bring up for them right now?
I'd say for me, it brings up a sense of calm and peace, sort of a connection.
I'm glad
Nature
you're
is natural. That's the word.
Yes.
Natural.
Yeah, I'm glad you're on our board. And it brings that for you. Yes.
I think it's also challenging and exciting. So I thought of calm as well. I think challenging and exciting is a big part of nature. It's
is.
beauty, wonder.
Yeah. All positive things.
For me, it's not contrived.
It
It's
just is. Ever changing. Thank you. What else? I've had people that tell me scary. Nature's scary.
And
Not safe, dangerous.
like during the wildfires or something like that.
Yeah.
Or flood.
Yes, it definitely can be. Anyone else want to share what nature brought up for them?
That's a way of bringing you to the present.
To the here and now. I want you to think before we go deeper. Don't worry, it's not just all black and white slides. I just really didn't want to drive it in any way or put any of my own influence, my own relationship on it right now. But what is your current relationship with nature? Where do you spend time? How much time? What does nature give you? What do you give to nature? What's your relationship with it?
Calms my soul.
Calms your soul? Place of solace. What else? What is other people's relationship with nature like right now? I know mine has changed.
Yeah, I always feel like I don't have enough of a relationship with nature, like I could always be in nature more and putting things that are extraneous to the side. And so I guess I feel like my relationship to nature is kind of, it's a process.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't know if it'll ever be developed.
Yeah, well, I don't even know what that would look like, a, complete developed relationship with nature, because nature changes, we change, time change. Mine is a
Just been online with this piece.
piece, yes. Any other thoughts about your relationship, your nature? Yeah.
I'm a middle school teacher,
Uh-huh.
so I find bird watching the fresh time for my house plants or my garden, just
Mhm,
brings calms me.
mhm,
But I don't always go to plant.
yes. It's your return to center. I'm hearing necessary, though. I'm still hearing like that it's a necessary thing. So benefits of time spent in nature. I'm thinking most of people have already said that have shared, there's a lot of benefits already. Clearly the calm, the relaxing of it. I'm going to focus mostly on the mental health side. I know there's a lot more and the research is more and more coming out all the time, especially recently with the forest bathing and the phytonutrients that are just being in a forest. Those benefits of our immunity are definitely being discovered, but I'm going to spend mostly on the mental health side. So stress reduction. Just being outside, they say just 20 minutes a day even, lowers your cortisol levels, less muscle tension, lowers heart rate, blood pressure. So being outside, being in nature helps reduce stress. It's also been shown to improve concentration, memory, cognition. They've shown studies with children that get to spend daily, regular time outside have improved focus and attention span, lowering some of the symptoms of ADHD. I'm not saying it's going to cure ADHD, but definitely lowering some of those symptoms, boost in creativity, boost in short-term memory, just lots of benefits. And really we're not talking hours a day, just limited times and exposure improves those things. Improves sleep, so better quality of sleep. And then studies have shown just the influence of natural light. So exposure being getting natural light on a regular basis improves sleep, being able to fall asleep and stay asleep. Also helps set your circadian rhythm. And they've also showed higher levels, higher exposure of not natural light impacts this too, and takes away from the ability to sleep and the quality of sleep. So we need it. And then working on the college campus with the college students, their sleep is so impacted for lots of reasons, lots of screen time, lots of being in dorm rooms with, not natural lighting. Sleep impacts also memory function and cognition. It's just all related, but being outside helps you sleep. Decreased anxiety and depression. So a regular access to a green space has been shown to decrease lower level depression symptoms. I'm not talking, really high, severely depressed individuals, but mildly to moderately depressed has been shown if you have regular access to green space, especially compared to people that are in urban settings, congested, highly populated, lots of pollution and not much green space, those depression levels are higher. Same with anxiety. Also, if you pair it with physical activity, so sitting outside, sitting on the beach definitely can help, but if you're being active outside, depression and anxiety shows improvement. And one interesting thing is you can be outside and alone, but you're gonna feel not lonely. That loneliness factor decreases. Isolation decreases. After the pandemic, especially with the college students, high school students, middle school students, social isolation was so impacted. The freshmen, sophomores coming in, they don't know how to connect to people. They're really struggling with social isolation, social anxiety, and sense of belonging. getting outside, being outside with other living things, even if it's not people, really helps you feel a sense of belonging, feeling connected, feeling less lonely, and just sense of purpose too. So and this is just being outside, exposure, doing things. We're going to get to the extra layer of that connection and what's important with that. Any questions so far about the benefits? I'm guessing this is really not surprising. We know it if we get outside. I feel like in some ways I might be preaching to the choir here, but we're all at different places and we can all improve and get deeper connections. So time in nature versus connection to nature. So just being outside definitely gives us some health benefits, but connection to nature, that's different. We all can go outside and we might not all be as connected as the person next to us. So and as a mental health professional, connection is really, really important. And connection to nature is just even more important and shows we all need it. So first, biophilia. It's the human instinct to connect with nature and other living things. It's in us. We need that connection, and we need that connection to other living things, mammals, trees, plants, everything that's outside. We need to connect to that. It started with the idea that there's some people that just love life. That's where the name biophilia came. Then it became more, they developed, well, maybe it's a personality trait that just some people have. And now there's a hypothesis that no, this is an innate thing. People need to be connected to nature. That's what we're supposed to be. And the further we get away from that connection, causes more and more discontent, anxiety, depression, all the things that I deal with in my office all the time. So as we get further and further disconnected from other living things, our living world, and other people, the worse we feel. So what's connection mean? What does it mean for you? Think about who you feel like you have connections with in this right now in your life. What are those connections like? How do you know that you're connected to them? What does that mean? So spend some time thinking about that, write about it if you want. And then if you want to share, let me know what that means for you. Connection to other people. How do you know you have a connection? How do you define that?
Well, an example for me to connection, I can go for a walk. I usually do every day. And some days I'm walking and my mind is going. And that's only not connecting with nature. And then there are times I completely focus on looking for what are the birds, what's high, what's low, how are the trees talking to me today, and really listening. I think connection requires listening.
Listen, definitely.
And looking. And you can be in nature and not be connecting at all.
Definitely.
So for me, the example is connecting with everything that is around me, whether I'm walking on a byway or across a meadow or in the forest.
Well, if you think of like with our own relationships, we're all together in this room right now. I have different connections with different people. The best connection I have is with my husband. That connection is, understanding. I have knowledge of him, lots of different things. He has knowledge of me. I care about him and he cares about me. I think we have understanding about each other, differences, similarities, value. I value him and him in my life. It's important. I know that he values me in his life. No judgment. That's harder for, I think, people relationships, but we try. As we get older, we have less and less judgment. But My fellow board members, I have a relation and connection to them. And all of these pieces are there. But is there things that I didn't, that you would add to this? I would hear listening, maybe presence or focus. I heard, what else?
I think the very aspect of what makes humans humans, some of the things that we value the most are in the way of our being natural.
Definitely, that's what it's progressed to.
That's where we are. So that we're having this presentation and we're interested in this line of development is a clear indication that what we assume is important, what we value generally, what we spend most of our time doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all has to do with how the human mind tends to work. We judge based upon others. The similar, the same is valuable. My team is the team. Good is me and what I think, et cetera. I care for my own. I am supposed to be in charge. All of that.
Yeah, and I would say some humans more than others, but yeah.
I'm talking about humans in general.
Right, yeah. Anyone else want to share about relationships, connections?
I think in the performing arts field especially, I notice it because I'm so involved with that, but it's a shared energy. And especially during COVID, people performing to a screen.
Right.
It's not the same as a live audience.
Right.
And you feel it.
Yeah, reciprocity.
Yeah,
Yes.
it just adds energy
Yes.
in that connection.
Feeling that you're at home, whether it be with another person or I moved away from Oswego 3 times, moved back 3 times, and this is my place. It feels like my place, but also Lake Ontario is my place. And wherever I've been, I love water, but wherever I've been swimming in other places where I've lived, nothing beats both the wildness and the calmness of Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
I feel really connected to that lake personally.
Yeah. Anything else? Anyone else want to share any parts of that? So mindfulness, and I heard presence before. So this is one of the pieces to ecotherapy. I always get ahead of myself on the next slide, but so mindfulness, being in the present, simply, to simplify mindfulness, being in the present moment with awareness and engagement. So being in the here and now, right now, and not thinking about what happened last week, not thinking about the what ifs, but just what is right now. And then adding more depth to that in a non-judging way, accepting what is happening right now, not having to judge about it, not is it good or bad, right or wrong. It just is. Patience with the process, patience with yourself, patience with the setting, the environment, the other living things. Beginner's mind, and I really, really love that aspect of mindfulness. Walking into a space, walking outside, like it's the first time you're seeing it and experiencing it. Because in a way it is. It's the first time in that moment you're experiencing it. Trust is the hard one. Trusting what's happening, trusting the process, trusting yourself, trusting the world around you. Non-striving, not trying to make it something else, not trying to go to the next step, the next thing, just, being. Acceptance, accepting just what's happening, it's okay. It just is, and it's just okay. And letting go of your judgment, letting go of your notions, your ideas, just letting go of yourself, letting go of control, and just being in that moment at that time in that place. So connection to nature, again, quality counts. We're getting to like mindfulness helps us have that quality connection to nature, but that having that connection to nature adds that contentment, feeling of purpose, compassion, sense of belonging, that feeling of reciprocity, like I'm giving something at this moment and something's coming back to me in this moment. It's not just a one-way thing. We're affecting when we take a walk. We're doing something. What are we doing? What are we doing to the space, and what is the space doing to us? What are the other living things giving to us, and what are we giving to them? Biodiversity. We need diversity. We don't need monoculture. We don't need all of the same. You know, quality is biodiversity. We need diverse spaces. That's going to improve our connection to nature. Close relationships and emotional attachment. We can appreciate that the beach is really, really calming. But having a close connection to it and caring about it and caring about that's part of, we are part of nature and nature's a part of us, and caring about what's happening to it, caring about what's happening to the world around us just deepens that connection. And I think everyone's at a different place with that in this world, but for instance, I said earlier, I'm a daughter. My dad was an entomology major, but then he went into a different field. He became a dentist just because he cares about people, and he was really, really connected to Central New York, and his advisors, like, who knows what PhD program you're gonna go to, but there's a new dental school opening up, and I think that would be good for you. You're really a people person. He does a lot with invasive species on his own time. He does a lot with, like, he's saving a lot of different things. He wanted me to go into the sciences, organic chemistry, just freshman year. Nope, not gonna do it. Started as a chemistry major. I quickly pivoted to a biology major, did that, then adolescent education major. That was great. But those psychology classes talked to me, and this was something that's a part of me, my wanting people to be connected. He's going around planting native species. He's getting rid of invasive species. He's doing a lot. That's great. But people can do that all the time. But if we're not having that connection with that tree that you're planting, if we're not having that connection and caring about climate change and again, invasive species and habitat destruction and all of those different things, it's just not going to bring the same contentment and the same importance. So again, my calling, ecotherapy, wasn't even a thing, I think, when I started my undergrad. So I feel like my path was not straight. My path meanders in a lot of different ways, and everything in my life led me to this. So ecotherapy has three facets. One, being in nature's therapeutic. We talked about all of those things and why being outside is good. It helps people's mental health. Second facet of ecotherapy is nature as the counselor. I bring students, I'll walk with them outside. There's metaphors in nature all over the place. Nature is helping them learn about themselves, connect to themselves, learn how to interact with different things, learn adversity. Just being outside doing that alongside with someone is nature's acting as a counselor in those instances. And then the third piece is we're affected by what's happening to the environment. So ecotherapy is adjusting and addressing the fact that we are affected by what's happening to the earth because we're a part of the earth, we're a part of nature. when we see wildfires on the news, when we see forest that we loved as a kid is gone because of development, we're going to suffer eco grief. College students are suffering from eco anxiety, eco grief, just the fear of the future and what's next. So that's another layer to ecotherapy. When I start a session, I kind of ask, like, what are your thoughts and feelings about the future? Pretty generally at start, because it could be for lots of different things. But what's happening to the earth does affect us, because we're a part of that. So that's another layer of what I do. One of the first tenets of any counseling, not ecotherapy, is meet the student, meet the client where they are. So each of us in this room are in a different place with our own connection with nature, and every place that you're at is okay. No one's better, no one's worse. It is what it is, and we are where we are. Any questions about any of this so far? I've done more talking than asking and checking in. So counselors don't like to do that. One of my favorite quotes is, "Nature's not a place to visit, it is home." And it's hard to see, but there's an owl in there somewhere. Hidden. So how can I connect to nature? I like to share it. It's kind of funny because as a counselor that really cares about nature and is an ecotherapist, my first 2 offices didn't have a window. It was awful. One was basically a closet. Actually, it used to be, they called it, because it's Aunt Mary Walker, they called it the clutch closet, because that's where or the crutch closet. That's where they put all the crutches. And then they had to make space as we were moving, and they're like, well, we'll just clean this out. Corey can go in there. So for a full year, I was in the crutch closet, no window. Then we renovated. We moved to Hewitt while we renovated. I don't think only 2 of our whole offices had windows. So again, I didn't have a window. So it's like, how do I'm spending 8 hours of my day there without even being able to see outside. That was not right for me. But if I was gonna be a good counselor, I have to take care of my own mental health. So I had to figure that out. So what if I'm stuck inside in a room with no windows? What can you do? So first, mindfulness is about senses. Being in the here and now, checking into your senses. So I want you to think of what senses for you connect most to nature.
I just wanted to share, one of our teachers had an office with no window, and she had our teacher come in and paint a landscape mural on one of the walls.
I had it wasn't really a tapestry, because tapestries are not fire safe. So it was somehow on Amazon, I did find a fire safe panel, and it was a very nice nature scene. Yes, I figured out how to do it so I could deal with it for a while. But if you think about nature and your senses, what for you is the sense that really you go to most? If you just think about nature, like we talked about some of those, what nature means to you in the beginning. For instance, sense of smell. That's not, everyone, they have different landscapes they like to look at. For me, sense of like smelling balsam firs and pines, especially when the sun's hitting them, it's heating up. That takes me to the woods, definitely. But what about for all of you? What sense and what's the stimulus for that sense that really brings it home for you?
I keep eucalyptus everywhere.
Oh, eucalyptus. So smell for you too?
I like birds. So I eat vines.
Mm-hmm.
I like to play the bird song.
Yep. Do you have a favorite bird sound? Chicken, yeah. Who else? Mhm.
I like the way the outside feels, like I go out if it's raining or if it's sunny and just feel it on my skin,
Yes,
the
Yep.
sense of touch, I think.
yes, touch, yep. Mhm. I want you to think about how could you bring that into a window or a room with no windows? Yeah. Well, if there's no window, like what, like, for instance, I got the panel so I could see my nice little creek scene. I made sure, because for me, I wanted it something that I was actually gonna be in a lot. So beach scenes are great, but that's not in my backyard. So the scene that I got for my office was a nice little wooded, it was fall, because I really like the colors of fall. I like the deciduous trees, especially maples. So somehow Amazon actually had it and it was fire retardant, so it was okay. But it was a nice little scene with a creek, nice little stones in the brook, but that was important for my sight to be able to see that. For sense of smell, I had a little balsam fir sachet I got in Adirondacks. So you stepped in my office, you could smell the balsam fir. So,
How about one of those little fountains, so you hear running water?
that would be really nice, yes.
Fish time,
What?
fish time.
A fish, yes, a fish tank, yep.
There's sunlight too. I just got because of the light for really gray days.
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
We actually have light boxes at the counseling center for the students that, especially that experience seasonal affect. So, but yeah, that natural light is important. Anything else you could think? Plants, yes. Although with no windows, it was hard. I actually had fake plants because
Well, there's some that don't mind.
there's a few that.
But you have the lights on.
Yeah.
So the room lights
Yeah.
today.
Also, what do you think is, if you go to your favorite landscape, it doesn't have to be relaxing, as you brought up, it could be exciting, it could be something you're like, I gotta get out there, I wanna look at that and get out there, or relaxing or invigorating or whatever soundscape. What are those things for you?
Ocean waves.
Mhm. Yeah,
I like the one you got up there, Sounds of the Forest.
yes, you're jumping ahead, wait till you get to see this.
I've got Vangelis, I've got a few that I listen to
mhm.
in the house.
It's one perk, I would say, of technology for someone who has an office with no windows, is I could put that on, get YouTube and find a scene that I like and just have it there to look at sometimes when students weren't there, or to have it on Pandora or something. Mhm.
I like to go to the live bird cams.
Yes,
Because I like to watch and listen.
Yes.
And pretend like it's a window.
yes.
Yeah.
That is, I know we have one here. What else?
Well, I suppose you can't always get up every hour or so and take a walk outside, but you really, sitting, you should get up
Yes,
and move.
yes,
And then go outside and take a deep breath.
yep,
And all these other things are kind of contrived, it seems to me,
yeah. Well, this is like, again, there'll be another slide with a little bit more, but for us that, if you're stuck all day in a place with no windows and you really can't get out, because students need me, sometimes at my desk for a lot, not at my desk, in my armchair with them in the couch across from me, and we're just talking all the time. And when I didn't have windows, I had to figure out a way to bring it in. I also have a sand tray in my office. They can play in the sand, but I make sure that the little pebbles I got was from my trip around the Great Lakes a few summers ago. I have pine cones, I'll have acorns in the fall. I have little things that they can touch. Because yeah, they can have a fidget spinner, but in my office, they're gonna get that's something that's, so they're in some level connecting to nature and touching. So I have 3 links. There's a lot of links out there that you could find, but 3 of my favorite. Oops. So this one, Soundscape of the Forest. It's an interactive map. And each link is a place, a real place, and it's a 1 minute recording of that forest or that area. I believe Rice Creek has one, or they're working on it, so that we can also share what it's like to be at Rice Creek for 1 minute. But there's some really, really cool ones and from all over. And then this one, Tree FM, again, 1 minute to listen to a random forest, and you just keep playing the next. You never know if it's going to be Nicaragua or down in the Catskills. It's just all over. And then
Website or?
yep, it's a website.
Corey, can you play some, when you had the world map up there and you said if you go to some of those, and you
Yep.
can you play one?
As long as before, when I was testing it, for some reason it wasn't like the audio wasn't playing. Oh, yep.
That's from the one sounds before.
Yep. Yep. That too loud? Yeah, that's good.
Where is that? Corey, where is that?
This one's in Gloversville. So, yep, so near kind of near Albany-ish. I'll try to do one from. This one's from Indonesia. Some are shorter than others.
Telling audio or it'll be recorded?
They're recordings. Yeah.
Where is it from?
That one, it says,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not Indonesia though. So, and then the random one is kind of cool. That's just tree.fm. This one's in Hungary. And if you don't like that one, you can go to the next forest. That one's, yeah. Berlin, I don't know what's happening there. This one's in Patagonia. It's a nice minute. You get to explore if you're eating your lunch at your desk. And then I know someone mentioned webcams and stuff. So we have our own webcam here at our portal with our live bird feeder. But you could turn around and see it right now. We also have guided meditations. If you just really, really love the sound of my voice, you're going to be happy. This was a project that we did during the pandemic. I got one of the nice RCA grants to do a bunch of different ecotherapy, and then the pandemic hit. So we're like, we still need to do something. So myself and one of the interns put this together, and these are scenes at Rice Creek, and then I'm doing a guided meditation to go along. So these are things that you can always do, whether you have windows or not, 5 minutes or less, part of your day, if you just want to figure out a way to connect on some level to nature. Any questions about being stuck in a room with no windows?
Get out during your lunch hour and walk.
I did.
Yeah.
As much as I could. Sometimes though, crisis walk in and I can't leave. So, yes, I finally have a window. Although this, my oldest son is a sophomore at SUNY Oswego right now. This was last year when he moved into Johnson Hall. And it was a proud mom moment where the first thing that my boys did, they dumped stuff in and they were both looking out the window that was right out his door. So I took a picture, but so you have a window. Still, you can only, it might only take 5 minutes, but what can you do with a window? Let's say you can't go outside for whatever reason, but you have a window. So how can you connect to nature? Bird feeders, cloud gazing, stargazing, just looking out and seeing around. I would challenge you, like, if you do have a window and a thing that you do like to look outside at, you know, your favorite window in your house or your favorite window in your office, do it regularly. That's going to get your connection going more. Looking, what's the same out my window? What's different? What's changing? What am I drawn to that day versus the next day? Every now and then, open the windows. What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you feel? Anything else that you can think of? Just looking out a window, how can you connect? How can you deepen that connection a little bit more?
Get rid of your blinds and shades.
Yep. Mhm. Yep. I know I used to for a while. I'd go in my son's rooms a lot and always open their windows, open their shades. Because yeah, blinds and shades are great for playing Xbox, so the sun's not coming in. But if you leave them closed, you're not going to see anything. So
We have binoculars too.
It's one of my to-dos to add at work, because now we're back in Mary Walker Building. Counseling Center's got, I think, the best real estate on campus, because we're in the back of the building and our whole, where we all eat lunch is just all windows looking out of the lake. But I would like to add binoculars there. So people, it's amazing to me how many people just get used to the lake. They don't, they're not even looking at it anymore. And right now, especially, we have all like the winter ducks and stuff coming in. I'm seeing a lot of stuff all the time. But again, everyone starts where they're at, but just keep, going deeper. So not only do you have a window, but now you can finally get outside, but you only have 5 minutes. What are some things that you can do? These are all things I'm going to guide you through in a minute, but how about for you? Do you have 5 minutes to get outside? What are you doing? What do you want to do? Feeling what? What else? What can you do in 5 minutes? And this was a really cool halo. It's not really coming out, but it was a moon with a halo around it in North Carolina over Thanksgiving. It's pretty cool. And again, I was just out for 5 minutes. So what can you do for 5 minutes?
Take a picture.
Take a picture.
Close your eyes.
Lots of times I just scan around and see what I can see here.
Yeah.
Feel the breeze.
How can you, or does anyone, does it go back internally to yourself? So you're outside, you're looking out the window, and it's again observation, which is really important to see what you can see, but then bringing it back to what's going on with yourself. So your emotions, your thoughts, feelings, fears, dreams, what is in the moment, what's going on for you? Because you're standing in this place, and we are humans, we have those thoughts and emotions and feelings. But then we're also in nature itself at the same time. So part of deepening is figuring out how to go back and forth between the inner, what's going on inside of us, and experiencing the outside of it.
Sometimes, including this morning, I just had to, in my bathrobe, walk out on the front porch and just do some deep breathing,
mhm,
take it all in for maybe 5 minutes.
Yep.
Hang out the flag,
doesn't take long.
put suet in the feeder,
Mhm,
deep breathing, just
mhm.
clear the lungs and the soul.
What else? Anyone else want to share what 5 minutes could do?
Take your shoes off.
Yes, and that's grounding. So grounding's starting to get, I'm hearing more about it out there, the sense that human touch and being connected to the earth. So grounding, taking your shoes off, standing there in the moment, and just having that skin to ground connection. It's grounding in the way that meditation says it's grounding. You know, you're starting to be in the moment, but there's also things happening at a really small neurological level by your feet, your skin touching your, and that can, it can happen in 5 minutes. It could happen for a barefoot walk for 30 minutes. But yeah, 5 minutes, just grounding, take your shoes off. It feels like March right now, not January, but you could do it in the snow too. But as it gets nicer, take your shoes off sometime. Put your hands in the dirt.
My mother used to like to go out in the morning in her bare feet, so she'd be able to do
Yes.
walk the buildings.
Yeah. Yeah.
They make barefoot shoes now, like it's the bottom of them are built away, so they're so thin, we can feel the ground.
Okay, you feel like all
And they
the,
have a wide toe box.
yes, I think I've seen it. Mhm. So that's grounding. I notice is it simply going outside, taking a deep breath, close your eyes, open, and just saying, I notice. What do you notice in that moment? And when I take students out, it's one of the first things we do. I have different spots where I like to do different things. I don't know if you've ever taken, I think it's the blue trail that goes by the fish ladders. So right before we get to the fish ladders, you go up a little ways. There's pine trees covered. It's before that one split, before where you kind of take the high road through near the goldenrods and asters or go down by the creek. Right at that moment, first, usually the sun's on the pines, you can smell them. You can usually hear the creek. There's just a lot of things happening. I'll take the students out there. We'll do a nice deep breath, close their eyes, open, and everyone shares what they notice. And no one notices the same thing. And then hearing what other people noticed, you start to notice that too. And sharing that with people is just really important. But you can do it yourself. If you do it same time every day at the same place, you're going to notice something different probably every single day. But that's going to start deepening your connection to your world and your nature. Snowflake, I added snowflake because usually when I talk about this, I do the leaf breathing meditation. There's no leaves right now, unless we went out. I think, the beach and the oaks, some of them still have leaves, but it's hard to do that. And there's no snowflakes right now, but as simple as going out, laying down if it's nice out under canopy of trees. If it's snowing, just going out in the snow. You breathe in, you notice one breath, or you notice one leaf. When you breathe out, your focus goes to the next leaf. Breathe in, the next leaf, breathe out, the next leaf. And do that with snowflakes too. And just that breathing and just your focus on the leaf or the snowflake, things are going to come into your mind. You're going to start thinking maybe about that to-do list. You're going to start to think about paying the water bill, worrying about things. That's okay. We're humans, our minds go. But just acknowledging, oh, that thought popped in, but now I'm going to go back to the leaf. That only takes 5 minutes. It deepens your connection to what's going on, and it also gives all of those benefits that we talked about before with reduction in stress and anxiety, just being in the moment. So the nature moment is a mini little meditative moment that I do. I don't know if we want to go outside or not, but I will guide you through it for a minute right now. We'll do it in the space. If you want to be looking outside, when you do it, that's okay. But stand up. Everyone stand up if they can. If you want to do it seated, you can, but feet on the floor if you're seated. Either one is fine with me. Okay. Have a nice, strong, steady mountain pose, feet on the ground, be stable. Take a nice deep breath in, close your eyes. Open them and take in the natural world around you. Use all of your senses. What do you see? Colors, movement, size, shape, textures. What do you hear? Soft, loud, high, low. What do you smell or taste? What do you feel? The floor beneath your feet, your muscles back keeping you up. If you're outside, could you feel a slight breeze? Coolness or crispness in the air, maybe a slight mist. Notice how this makes you feel inside. What are your thoughts, emotions?
How lucky we are.
Yeah. Again, feel your feet on the ground and sense yourself in this exact moment, in this exact place. Sharing this with everyone around you.
We want to know if these work to keep spiritual fine.
They do. They do.
I'm
Then take a nice another deep breath in and go back to sitting when you're ready. What was that like? I think it was probably less than 5 minutes. What was it like for you? Granted, we were inside, outside's better, but what are your thoughts, feelings? What was the experience like for you?
I actually thought, wow, this would be really different if I were out in nature.
Yes, yes. And I encourage you to do
That's
that.
that's really what I was thinking.
Yes,
This is
yes.
a wonderful place, but,
yes,
and this is, everything is,
yeah.
yeah, it's all good, but it isn't nature.
It's not, no, it's not. It's not out there.
Well, it is time, it's your nature too.
Yeah.
Sort of.
You can have an academic garden.
Right, yeah.
It made me very curious about what I was seeing.
Mhm.
I'm looking out here, there's something on the ground up there. I don't know if it's a leaf,
Mhm.
how did it get there, where did it come from, what's it feel like? You're talking about texture, I'm thinking, okay, well, what are those, they look like they could be soft, but maybe they're not. And so it was curiosity, like I wanted to get out there and I'll be back up there. So I felt like I created it.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Thank you. What else? In that short time. Mhm.
This reminds me, I thought to go out with the saying by John Muir.
Mhm.
It says, I go to the woods to lose my mind and find my soul.
Yeah.
A lot of people are familiar with that, but I just love that.
Yep.
My mind.
Yeah, that's another thing. Even with no windows, finding our own words for how we feel about nature, but reading what other people write sometimes I will just Google nature quotes and it really just deepens my connection a little bit or puts the intent like, yeah, I want to go out now. I want to go do something just by hearing other people's inspiration too. So sharing that with others and having other people's experience shared with you, just all add to the experience. And, you know, whatever your motivation, however you operate, adding that to your connection with nature is important. Any other thoughts about, that's called a nature moment. And I have a little handout later for anyone who wants any of the prompts. But
I have a confession. I totally feel the quiet in your mind. Yeah, because I was thinking, where did they get those bird feeders? How do they keep the squirrels off the platform feeder? Oh, my bird feeders at home are empty right now. And
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel.
well, that's no, mindfulness is no judgment, right? Acknowledging mine's going to a lot of different places and then eventually practice just bringing it back. That's how we work.
Yeah, the idea of the need to do these things is exactly where we start.
Mhm.
What is nature?
Right.
And yeah,
Mhm.
that's I mean, if you really want to think about it, that's a really big question.
It is, it's a hard
Because-
question.
Because what I was saying is that from what I know of human nature and the way people's minds work, you need to make time for nature because all the other important stuff was sort of built in over the phylogenetic
Mhm.
period that we developed.
Well, we definitely, yeah, our society now, we need to make time for nature. I don't think it always used to be, humans used to be so much more a part of it and, you know, lived it and understood it and, mhm,
Yeah, but why did they understand?
mhm,
They needed to survive.
right,
Hence, they did.
right, yes,
Can't argue with that, but
Right.
then that's in the way of a whole lot of other stuff.
mhm,
Once you jump into creating an environment rather than nature.
right. Mhm. Anyone else want to share anything about their nature moment?
I know this movement. I've danced my whole life, choreographed forever, and so I'm watching the birds and watching the different movements, and I'm watching the shaking of the weeds as they're landing and when you're talking before about what do you do when you get outside, I move, I stretch, I move, I see, oh, that like, if I lunge here, it's gonna feel different than there because of incline or
Right.
I'm constantly moving and
Mhm.
I have a tough time stopping. But when I used to bring my classes here for over 30 years, I built it into part of our time. We had certain spots where we would stop for 5 or 10 minutes. And they did exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you taste?
Yeah.
Don't please don't eat anything, but
Right.
And all that. And it was hard for a lot of the kids to just sit,
Well, yeah,
and think about those things. But I did make them be accountable, write some things down so they would have something to write about later. But, it was good to watch these kids who were not in tune. Many of them had never been here, even though they're gifted,
mhm,
to be able to stop and slow down and really pay attention to what's going on around you.
Yeah. It was funny, just like one of my biggest lessons of starting where you are and starting where my student or client is. So when I did my master's here for counseling, it was a second master's, it was a returns, career change and whatever. So I had a lot of relationships. My son was a middle school student at Oswego Middle School. They have a really, really nice middle school preserve, lots of trails back there. My house butts up against it. So I was very, very familiar with the middle school woods. I knew the principal, Mary Beth, very well. So when I had this idea for this independent study for ecotherapy, first, no, everyone's like, we don't know what that is. I don't know. I'm like, nope, just trust me. So I connected with Mary Beth. I said, I have this idea to do some ecotherapy groups with your students. It was really nice at the time because they had a special, they called it advisory period, right? Either before or after their lunch. So I said, you give me the students that you think could benefit from some counseling, get the parents to agree, and we're gonna go out and do some ecotherapy in the woods. They'll bring their lunch. I had this nice, like, so many different plans and progression for my groups and what we're gonna do each week. That first day, it all went out the window because they get out there. There was 10 of them. They see the pond, that was it. They wanted to watch the pond, they wanted to look at the frogs and the turtles and all of this. I was not doing meditation. I got them for a nature moment, but they've never probably experienced being in woods alone to just explore. They didn't get to be up close to a pond before. That threw me. Being from central New York my whole life, you know, this woods is in my backyard. These students did not get to do that. So I'm like, okay, we're my 6-week plan, that's gone. I need to meet them where they are and start to figure out what their understanding of nature is and themselves and what they're thinking and feeling and how to connect with that. So, start where you are. You know, your connection is no better, no worse than someone next to you, but just keep trying to strengthen it, whatever it is. So now you have more than 5 minutes. So these are some of my favorite things on how I connect or how I get my students to connect. I did a series here called Lessons from Nature. We basically did some nice little meditations to get them in their, out of their heads and in the moment. Did some mindfulness breathing and things in the herb garden. The herb garden's great for that because all of your senses can be engaged. We start with that and then we take a walk. I know all the things on the way. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do that day, but we'd stop and look at one thing and say, what is nature teaching us? What lesson can we pull out of it from here? What can I learn from this tree and what can I apply it to my own life? So one of the ones that I like the most and they like the most, we went out, it was probably winter time. The beech trees still have leaves. So we sit and look and again, I was a bio major, so I know some stuff. I'm not a botanist. So I'm here for your mental health. I can answer some questions, but first, I just want you to look at this tree. I don't tell them it's a beech tree. I don't tell them that I know that it already has the leaves on it. Just let's look at this tree. And what's this tree trying to teach us? They look and first they're not sure. And I point out, it has its leaves on it. All these other trees, they let go of their leaves a long time ago. What can we pull from that? Everyone's lesson is going to be a little bit different. I also let them know a little bit on why some of the theories, why the beech trees have their leaves still. But if you go out, I mean, what would you all learn from that beech tree in the winter that has its leaves on it? What lesson, what about your own life can you apply that? So we're talking metaphors and bigger picture, but it is teaching us something. Going out, I'm not just, oh yeah, that tree's got its leaves, whatever. I'm going to think about my own life and what can I pull from that. Their answers were great and I'll share them in a minute, but what do you think about, and this, we're getting a little bit more personal here, so if no one wants to share, that's okay. But what do you have going on in your own life that maybe that beech tree can teach you and that you can apply?
You can be old and still hang on to those twigs, withered and wrinkled and.
Yeah. Well, in the forest, I mean, maturity is valued.
I think just stopping to notice, I mean, because the way our lives are, we're just going past that beech tree.
Yeah.
But when you stop, and I like to paint,
Mhm.
I like to paint outside, plein air, and I love the process because I see that beech tree, but I start seeing everything else about that tree.
Yeah.
And that's the mindfulness,
Mhm.
Let's go. So just to stop.
Yeah. Make time and notice. What else? Anyone else want to share what you could possibly learn from a beech tree? And how that beech tree could help you with your own life in any way?
It's okay not to be like everybody else.
It is, it's okay. You let go when you're ready to let go. Mhm. It's okay to hold on to something when everyone else let it go. Mhm. Mhm. That beech tree has something to protect. Those leaves are helping. That maybe those other trees, they just don't have it yet.
Really, no two are alike.
No.
It's amazing how many,
Yeah. Mhm.
no two are alike.
Mhm.
If beech trees are taking the lesson, it's either they know something I don't know, or doggone it, I'm gonna hang in
Mhm.
there. I don't think it's thinking.
You what?
I don't think the beech tree is thinking.
No,
Not so sure.
we're
be surprised.
thinking
I'm
about
not so sure.
I would say, you better.
I think they know a hell of a lot more than we do.
right.
You're just not letting on.
I didn't say they weren't brilliant.
Just thinking, take out another 2x4.
Yes. Any other thoughts about beech trees and your own life?
There's a book out that I read, I'm sure a lot of people here have read it, I think it's called the Hidden Life in Trees.
Yeah.
Secret Life
Yeah.
in Trees.
Yeah.
So, maybe there's something that the beech tree is communicating with the other trees, and they all look at the beech tree and keep the leaves. Who knows?
There's another book, Forest Walking. I think it's Forest Walking by the same author.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Does anyone, is there any botanists here or arborists? Because from my own little research about it, because again, as a good counselor taking students in the woods, I'm gonna preload so I can be prepared for questions. From what I gathered is beech trees have their buds earlier. So those leaves, and the deer like them, but they don't like the taste of the leaves. So, and if you look at beech trees, a lot of them, it'll be the younger ones or the lower limbs that have leaves still on them. So that tree learned to, if it keeps its leaves, the deer's not gonna eat the buds. Another one said that the type of soil and where beech like to live, they need the extra nutrients, but they need the nutrients of the dead leaves more in the spring than in the fall and winter. So those were two different ideas. So if you think, and once I told the students that, then they're, everyone carries around their own stuff that needs specific lessons. So they were coming up with some profound lessons that they could take away from that beech tree at that time. Something that helped them that, in the counseling office, we might get there, we might not in that one session, but being outside, also getting the benefits of being outside, walking in the woods. It's a special way to do counseling. Any other thoughts about that?
There's another book that I'm sure, again, that many people have read that I always thought made a lot of sense about children today. It's called Last Child in the Woods.
Yes.
Yeah, and that one always struck me as
Mhm.
how much of a, I guess you could say, a real need
Yes.
is there.
Yes.
Compared to the time that they spend not being outside.
Yes. That author also wrote another book called Vitamin N. About more adults and how we need nature too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Questions for nature. So another way, if you have more time, how to add more to your walk or your time outside. Sometimes we do something called a question for nature. So next time you take a walk or you're outside, consider something that you're struggling with in your own life, a problem, a dilemma, a worry, some anxiety that you have, something that's really on your mind. keep it to yourself. You don't need to talk about it with anyone. But as you're walking, just kind of have that question in the back of your mind, not perseverating or ruminating about it. You know, I want you mindful in the woods, but kind of like, if you're on a train station, subway station, you know, one foot's on the platform, one foot's on the train, you're kind of in two places at the same time. So you're keeping that one thought about what's going on in your life, the what was or the what ifs, whatever is bothering you, but also being in the current moment with nature, with the walk at that time. As you walk, be open to everything you're experiencing around you. Don't force, don't go looking for an answer. If something takes your attention, follow it. Kind of like that beginner's mind again. You know, a child doesn't really care about paths. Oh, there's that over there. I'm going to go check it out. So that with your attention, but also as you walk. Become absorbed in observing the world around you, observed of the experience. At the end of the walk, reflect on it. Do you feel the same about that question? Do you feel differently in any way? Or that issue? Did you come up with an answer? Did you come up with a different way to look about it? Maybe it caused more questions. But another way just to deepen that in some way, because as we said before, you know, nature is everything, nature's life. So what's going on with us can be done. When you're out, use all of your senses. What we've, you know, reinforced a few times. Nature journaling is another way to deepen that. You have lots of time. Go out and journal while you're out there, journal when you get home, journal about the experience. That's gonna, you know, it could be a chronicle just about what you saw. My dad has a bird list of every single day. He has a bird list on graph paper taped. He does not use computers. It's just, he has, now it's like 25 years of his bird list every single day. That's his nature journal. That's him chronicling, you know, his experience with his natural world. Journaling can also involve art or painting. You know, my mom isn't as analytical. She's more artistic. She's painted a lot of different things that she's seen. And that's all over the house. Gardening, another way to really connect with your hands in that earth and that full circle about, you know, you're eating what you're growing. You're taking care of those plants. You're thinking about the type of vegetables and herbs and flowers that are going to actually grow in our climate and our soil. That's a good connection.
Also, weeding is good for anger management.
It's great. Yes. Yeah.
You're so mad about it.
Yeah, that over here. It's the weeds, damn it.
What are these weeds telling us? There's weeds in life, there's weeds in our mind. That's another. I work in metaphors a lot, so a lot of times we talk about sometimes those anxiety thoughts as weeds in our mind, and how to get rid of them. Get to know your space. That's like the picture I picked here is moss with its, you know, in a certain part of its life cycle. How many people just walk on moss and never really look at it that deeply? You know, I took a time on this walk to just sit and I'm looking really, really closely at this small little radius around me, looking at all the different things sprouting, but I don't know, I like moss. You know, it's so different, lots of different ways. It's really, really pretty and really special, but get to know your space, get to know your nature, what you have around you every day, really get to know it, look at it, you know, have that connection, that relationship with it, with all those different things I said before, value, time, understanding, knowledge, all of that's important to deepen that connection. Zoom in and zoom out. So thinking about the big picture, stepping back, thinking about the horizon and what we see in the distance, and then zooming in really, really close, like at that moss or that acorn at our feet, looking at it and really, really, you know, in depth, in detail, and then zooming back out again. That's a really interesting experience when you're doing it. I have a prompt for that. If you have a really nice place to have a good vista, like the lake shore, like on the top of a hill, doing that exercise, it's really interesting how some people get really, really uncomfortable looking at big picture. Some people really have a hard time looking at depth at small details of things. And that's just, it's kind of like a little window into what's going on in our own lives. Maybe what we need to focus on and what we don't. Some people really struggle with big picture. Some people really struggle at the small details. And when we're out, outside connecting, that's true too. Some people have, it's just interesting, and notice that. Notice that what's going on within you when you're experiencing these things. Any questions about any of those things?
Corey,
Yes.
are you finding that a lot of like college student age, 18-year-olds haven't spent any time outside really, like just playing and making up their own play and stuff with children? I think that might be a really big difference between older generation and younger generation. I don't see, we don't have a lot of kids in our neighborhood, but you tend not to see a lot of kids out.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yeah.
I'm retired from middle school long enough so that my last kids are probably in college.
Okay.
And I recall a lot of kids telling me that they weren't allowed to go outside alone. Or they're not allowed to go in their front yard. Like they're, like we as kids, we chop the woods and whatever, but kids aren't allowed to do it. So, and we had a fresh air kid a few years ago too, from the city, who kept begging, she didn't want to swim in the lake. She's like, don't you have any friends with pools? Like, so. Do you find that, just what she said, the kids in college, do they not have those outdoor experiences that all of us?
Well, if you think about too, I mean, thinking about that, just probably the childhood that we had compared to the childhood that he has, what that did, being outside with that independence, with figuring things out, navigating the world, getting to know all of the different things, whether it's the people in your neighborhood, the houses in your neighborhood, but also the trees and the birds and all of those things in your neighborhood. It's just different, and the landscape is different.
We have no supervision.
Right, and
Those kids.
the amount of, yes, right, yeah.
So parents are so afraid their children are gonna be abducted.
Yeah.
It's stranger danger, and you hear kids say, I don't go outside, it's stranger danger.
Well,
That's what they.
fear about so many things. Fear about strangers, fear about sunburn, fear about poison ivy, fear about spiders, fear about snakes, fear about dirt, fear. There's just that fear. It's just it's different.
It used to be come home in the street lights.
That's right. I don't even, well, my street didn't even have street lights, so I just figure out the dinner's ready, but.
So when you take, so when you take participants that you're counseling out here.
Yeah.
And for some of them, is that their first time walking on a trail, or do they not?
For some of them, some, especially students from the city, like, not only that, but you get, like, I thought I'm doing this service. They're gonna get out there, they're gonna love it. Even going to the little, well, they call it the lagoon, but the little pond on campus, doing that. That's a little bit more comfortable because it's a paved path. But I think, they're gonna just love it being out here. Some of the feedback that I got from some of the students from more urban settings is this is scary. This is not, it's dark, especially my students of color, like what they think of is upstate New York, more rural areas with all white people that don't like people that look like me. This environment's scary. like, because I was talking to one grad student once about the country road. I'd rather drive on a country road than a highway. Probably for, I like to see the different things. Highways are fine, I guess, if I really need to get somewhere fast, but I like country roads, and my grad student's like, that scares the crap out of me. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, he's like, no, house for miles, like, no, like that's terrifying. And then like, okay, yeah, start where they are, like work on them. But what's not terrifying? And it made me start to think even more deeply, like, what's a terrifying environment for me? What does that mean about me? And what's that stuff that I need to work on? If you think about, I think I asked like the prompt, like, what's a relaxing or ideal setting? And what's the type of, even in nature, that kind of makes me uncomfortable? I don't really like for myself, and maybe this is getting too vulnerable, but no one's a counselor, so I don't know if they're gonna read too much into it. I don't like if I'm going in like a place with mountains, with like the small crevasses that I gotta navigate through. I like to know that I can see where I'm going and where I'm coming from, and I can get out. I don't want to be stuck. Part of me, I guess if I could talk hours about how, being stuck in life, times that I've been stuck in my past that have been uncomfortable. So in an environment that I might get stuck in, that gives me a little bit of anxiety and hesitation, and I'm probably gonna avoid that. That might be part of my way that I can get a deeper connection and work on my own connection myself, is putting myself or getting into a place where I can go in those spaces.
So those kids that feel afraid, what worries me is that if they avoid nature because of that, then how do you appreciate nature if you're not in it? And if you're not appreciative of nature, how are you going to vote to protect it?
Yep. And I think, starting with where they're comfortable with nature. It really start small and then keep pushing it. But it's really important to make sure there's green spaces in a lot of different areas. And, children are getting access to them, and playing with them and connecting with them.
For a lot of kids, this is field trips, they gave them those experiences, and field trip money is dry up. So they're really not getting it. Like I said, for years, I brought kids out here, right from Oswego, who didn't even know it existed. For many of them, it wasn't their first time in the woods. Most of them were then telling me it was a favorite field trip. They loved it and wanted to just come back.
Yeah.
So they really did enjoy it, but they're not gonna come back because this is not gonna be a field trip. So your field trip is gonna be a trip to the amusement park with your forest group or something. We're not spending field trip money on this kind of experience.
But I think starting with it, so if I didn't have the appreciation and connection I have, and I know how much it means to me in my life and who I am, that's why I want to share it with my students. So the more that we connect ourselves and appreciate nature and know that we're a part of it, and what happens to nature happens to ourselves, part of that connection is sharing it and having a relationship with other people, and connecting, just making it part of our lives. But it's students coming in and the next generation, it's a consideration, because if you think about all those things that they didn't have, those fears that they bring with them are not just the fact that they're not connected to the outside natural world. It's stuff that's affecting their mental health and connection with other people. Because my connection with my outside world just mirrors my connection with the people in my life too. All the connections and relationships I have.
It seems like it should be in the curriculum, not just a place for therapy, but both in the K through 12 experience and also the college experience, but it should be like required courses that we used to have to take, required courses as freshmen.
Yeah. Well, I think you said nature is everything.
Yeah.
So it needs to bubble up in all these different places.
Nature is nurture.
Nature, what?
Nature is nurture. Nurture is
That's right. Mhm. Yep. Any other thoughts about anything that we talked about? I challenge you to think what's next for you and what do you need to strengthen your relationship? So, something you can write down for yourself or just share with everyone else. Where do you go from here? Like, what's next after this? After you have more coffee and a donut, what's next for today?
Well, I would like to share something hope.
Yes.
That beginner's mind,
Yep.
our 1.5-year-old grandson, my daughter sent a video, they had gotten a snowstorm. And he was outdoors and he went.
He just sat there and looked around and just kept saying, wow.
And so, like, I get really thinking of that because I think there is hope for the future. If we can keep that mind and more kids coming up.
When's the next time we send wow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also got to thinking, what you said about field trips, and yes, my grandchildren, who live in the area, they went to Seabreeze, and I'm thinking, the cost to go there,
Right.
compared to here?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, parents could do it themselves, but they don't,
Right, they don't know.
they don't either.
Although a lot more parents during COVID, they were forced into the woods because they couldn't.
Oh, my
find
God,
another
yes,
section. So you saw all these families,
Open windows and doors, all kinds of.
all these families marching around looking kind of glum about it.
But, you know, for advocacy to the Board of Education, that could be what we need to do, right? I didn't even realize that.
But I also challenge you personally, what next for today or tomorrow or next week, or just, how can you keep, because again, I know I'm preaching to the choir, you're here because you appreciate Rice Creek and you appreciate the topic, but I challenge you all to deepen that connection. In whatever way, whatever's lacking, whatever you need for yourself at the moment, how can you incorporate that connection with nature and that relationship with it? But I have some prompts and some other ones. There's even a guided tree hugging. Different way to do it, just to add another layer, but I challenge you all to do, these are clearly, I think too, in our right now, we're so much about what's the right way to do something, or what are the instructions, or I need a kit for that. Really, we just need to go out and do it. These are just guided prompts to help maybe think of things in a different way, or do something that you haven't tried before, but really just get out there. What's going on for you emotionally? Even within your body, those body reaction sensations you get from just being outside. Think about how you are, what you think, what you feel, and how your body reacts. If you were out and then you saw a bear, your body's going to react differently to when you're out and you see a nice little wood duck with some babies following. It's, but tune into that. It's all important. Don't avoid the uncomfortable body sensations or the uncomfortable feelings. Feel them all. Experience it all. I think what everyone's describing and feeling about what's going on, whether it's younger generations or whatever, the main word that I feel in counseling is disconnect. Substance use is disconnect. Too much online screen time is disconnect. Just all of the things that we're struggling with right now as people is disconnect. Disconnect from others, disconnect from ourselves, disconnect from nature. So reconnect. Any questions, thoughts? Anyone want to share what's next for them? But I appreciate you all. I'm talking, Wendy.